What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
Just back to regular old special guest, I guess. You know, I had my time in the sun.
You did, and you basked beautifully.
Well, thank you. I'm good at basking.
Just basking in glory. Jay, I got to tell you, coming into today's episode, I am a renegade, if you will.
A renegade?
Just a proper renegade.
Benegade?
Even better.
Yeah.
Although it sounds a little bit like Benegade, which reminds me of that what is it's like the muscle rub stuff.
It's like icy hot, right?
It's like icy hot.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just is icy hot.
Maybe it just is. Is this the same thing?
Anyway,
I don't know.
Somehow we went from renegade to Bengay to icy hot. So everybody just enjoy those sensations.
Yeah, just think about it.
As they sink in.
It's like chewing gum, but instead of that minty, fresh feeling in your mouth, you feel it on your skin.
The show is not brought to you by
Benegade.
Benegade. I came in today and I had brought my iPad that I usually use for my show notes as we do the pop. I brought it on our trip to Disney and I left it at home. So right now I am completely and utterly without notes. Nobody knows, including me, what I'm going to say next.
Oh man, that's crazy. I have an iPad with the pop doc.
The pop doc.
We typed up ahead of time, but if you just want to wing it, that's fine. Who knows what you're going to say?
Who knows? Who even knows? It's an adventure out there. Yeah. Or it was an adventure last week because and I, after talking about it for weeks on end, finally took our great big family vacation to Disney World.
Yes,
in Orlando, Florida.
Did. Oh my gosh. It has been a wild week. And I was honest, I was thinking about it, and because my week actually went a little bit longer because not only did we have the week of Disney, but then I stayed in Orlando for an extra 3 days to compete in the Pokemon Regional Tournament down there.
You did. We're going to have to cover it all.
We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So I was thinking about it while I was there. I was like, this might be the longest vacation I have had. In living memory, or I don't know, I can't remember the last time I was away from home this many consecutive days.
Yeah, no, it's like one of these things where I know several years ago I had someone who was working for me who took 2 weeks off in a row to go on this great big adventure out west and stuff, and it was 2 weeks off in a row. Two weeks off.
That's half a month.
What a truly splendid idea.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the staple is a 1 week vacay, because I feel like oftentimes you need enough time to arrive, get there, get settled, get organized, unload all of your things, get the groceries in order, get your sea legs. I actually watched what is that show with Zac Efron, Down to Earth, I think, with Zac Efron maybe, on Netflix, where they do this thing where it's quite literally grounding. So they fly to a new country. The first thing they do is they get in their van and they drive to an open field, and then barefooted they go and walk on the earth and ground themselves to the I don't even know what the circadian rhythm or something.
Oh, wow. They're get barefoot and just get physically touch the earth.
Physically touch the earth.
Wow.
One with the earth.
Never heard of
this. The new magnetic poles, maybe. That could potentially be a thing.
Okay.
Centering is another word that feels relevant to this conversation.
It does.
And you know what? It's one of those things that when I saw it, I was pure silliness. But then it's also you know what? Being outside, being in the sun, just the exposing yourself to general environment.
Yeah.
Nature actually sometimes I think is magical. It's
there's no doubt. Beth, I think was telling me about, I don't know if it was some podcast or something she read the other day about the number one thing you can do to help you fall asleep at night. And it was you'd think it's you read a bazillion things. It's limit your screen time, start winding down, don't drink alcohol, drink more water, don't, no caffeine in the evening, whatever. And it was the number one thing, according to this study, was be outside in exposing your body to sunlight for 10 minutes between the hours of 9 and 11. That's it. That was it. Just be exposed to the sun between these hours.
You mean 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I was like, because in a lot of places, including here, we don't have sun during those hours of the evening. So.
No. Yeah. In the morning, between like 9 and 11, just like be outside for 10 minutes and get sunlight. Like it has to be like in the morning or something. I guess it has to be I think it is like kind of circadian rhythm sort of thing. It's like letting your body literally feel the sun. Like this is morning.
Yes.
So like now your body knows that was morning. There's a certain amount of time in the future where is night. So that I don't know, something like that. And I was like, that feels so wacky, but like, can that make a difference? But then I'm also like, yeah, being outside feels like it, it's not like you can't just like see the sun. It's not like be near a window. You have to physically be outside.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I'm like, well, this makes a lot of sense because, it's like you like think about how long just humans have existed
right.
and for how long, like your day wouldn't have absolutely involved basically waking and then immediately going, if you are even not outside already, immediately going outside.
Right.
And being outside. And your day would take place outside. Like it's been a fairly short period of time, I feel, where we as humans spend our day inside.
For a large majority of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. So I thought that was a weird fact. I haven't tried it out or anything.
Well, we should put it to the test. I will tell you that the one thing that I am growing increasingly obsessed with is saunas.
Dude, I hear you, man. I've been into saunas like my whole life.
I know. I think honestly I was
ahead of my time.
Yeah, properly.
I couldn't convince anyone to like sauna with me, man.
Have you been trying? Because I can't imagine I would have declined.
Ben, I've been trying to get people to sauna with me and be like, you wanna? And they're like, I don't think I do. I don't like hot spaces. I don't like sweating. It makes me feel faint. Blah, blah, blah.
Plus that rhyme you just dropped.
You wanna.
You wanna.
No, that's from the Frozen musical. There's like this whole extra song after intermission about the concept of hygge.
Oh, yeah,
and that's their big rhyme throughout the song is rhyming sauna with wanna.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, it is a really funny addition to the show, though.
I do generally feel like the more that I've gotten to know you into adulthood and like really like getting to know the aspects of your personality that are truly like you and not externally influenced by like all of the other things. And it's like I feel like you're supposed to live in Scandinavia.
Me?
Yes, you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you definitely like just seem to like gravitate towards all of those things, including the sauna.
The sauna. That's right.
The sauna, which is like I feel like it's been an interesting one as like an activity for me to go and do with my friends. But there's a place here in Roanoke that I've actually talked about before because they started by doing those like sensory deprivation floats.
Yes, I very badly want to do one of these.
Have you still not done one?
I still haven't done one. This is another one. It's just like, I don't know why I don't just go do it.
I don't know why you just don't go do it.
There's nothing really stopping me other than like, I got work, I guess.
Do you know what you're going to love? Sensory deprivation.
There's like no doubt in my mind that I will love it.
A float. In case you may remember the episode, but when I did my first ever float, because you're in like pitch black darkness.
Oh yeah, you were trying to bend time.
I was trying to bend time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally
it got real.
It did. I was like laying there, and it's like, I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what like psychedelics are supposed to be like, but I feel like I may have accidentally entered that doorway of my brain.
Like, whoops.
Like I'm actually trying to see or travel to the future under the premise that maybe people have never actually tried before.
Giving it the old college try, man.
Right? Yeah. It's like I'm gonna orient all my brain waves and do whatever I can. People who are new to the show, if this is their first episode, are like, "Who are these?
What
people?
is happening?"
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of saunas, though, Ben, I do actually have a sauna story from Disney World.
Man. Spectacular.
I know. Yeah. So the resort we were staying at Disney World was Old Key West. I guess you were there as well.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were there. You were there. And when we got there, the first night we were kind of like scoping out the area. We got some quick service food. Luke spotted this big lighthouse, and he was like, he when we were at Hilton Head last summer.
Yes.
Like our parents took Luke to a lighthouse and they were gonna go up inside it, but apparently it was like closed for the day. So every time he sees a lighthouse, he always wants our parents to take him there and like go inside.
I love the way that like Luke aligns certain things like with certain people.
Yeah.
I know that he's also this way with the movie WALL-E and
Yeah.
Mom. It's
Yes.
like whenever like Nana Mary comes over, it's like time to watch
Time
WALL-E.
to watch WALL-E. Let's go. My mom's like, I don't know. I don't think Mom likes WALL-E that much.
I know. Yeah. She'll never tell him.
She'll never tell. That's right. It'll just be she'll grow to love it because it's a shared experience with her grandson.
Exactly.
But so anyway, they go over there, and then it turns out that the lighthouse is a sauna.
It is,
which is awesome. Like they just built the lighthouse on top of the sauna. I found that out later in the week because you sent me a picture, and that was exciting. So we were at the pool one night, and I was like when you sent me the picture, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to do that before we go.
Yeah.
And I could like tell, even when you sent me the picture, I was like, this is the kind of thing like I really want to do, but like is not going to end up happening for some reason or another.
Right.
Like because like I know it's there, but when am I going to have the time to like walk over and just, sit for 20 minutes? Like it doesn't feel like the opportunity is going to get there.
Dude, I am like that every single trip I ever go on where there is going to be a pool at a hotel. I'm like, I'm bringing my bathing suit in case I want to get in the pool.
Yeah.
And it's like the number of bathing suits that have traveled the country with me that have never touched water are too many.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude, I do the same thing. Every trip we're going on, me and Beth would be packing, like, you bring a bathing suit? And she'd be like, what? Why? Like, be going to like a friend's wedding or something.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
be like, well, there might be like a hot tub at the hotel or something.
You never know what you're going to need it for.
You don't know. Like, what if we want it and we don't have it? And I think, and then Beth's she's like, well, I can't imagine needing to be in a bathing suit for the next 2 days. And I'm like, look, if I know anything about going on trips, it's that sometimes you're near a hot tub, and I pretty much want to be in it if it's there. I know that.
I want to do it.
I want to do it. And so let me tell you, we were in the hot tub at Disney, and it was right next to the sauna, and the kids were having so much fun at the hot tub. It was their first time there, and I put hot tub in like quotes too, because it was more like just really, really warm water.
I would absolutely agree with that assessment. I also got in it, and it was like, I was like, this is very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was getting like hot tub heat levels experience, but it was extremely comfortable. And they were like, especially when you go into like a regular pool and you have to adjust to the water temperature, like this was just like, yeah, this is great. This is like a bath.
Yes. Yeah.
So they were liking that, and I felt like, okay, they'll be entertained by just the nature of this large hot tub for like maybe 15 minutes. I was like, I'm going in the sauna. And Beth was like totally cool with it. So I go over and I open the door though, and I'm thinking like, this is going to be great. There's absolutely going to be nobody in here. I'm going to have the whole thing to myself. It's like, 8 at night. Wrong, Ben. There were people in there, but there was like 3 like 13-year-old girls who were sitting in there, and I'm like I open the door and I have to make like a decision in the moment.
Is there a world where you open it, see them, shut it, and
yeah,
walk away?
Exactly. I have to make a decision where I'm like, oh, never mind. And so I have to decide, like, am I gonna like just be super awkward about it and close the door and be like, never mind, I'll just try back in a little bit, or am I gonna walk in and make this real awkward for them?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I did. I was just like, you know what? I was like, I've been thinking about this all week, and I don't care if I'm just going to sit here and not talk anyway. So you guys don't, I didn't say anything to them. I just like, sort of waved and sat down and just leaned back. And like within like 1 second, one of them was like, where's Matt? And like all 3 of them were like, yeah. And they just like booked it out of there.
Oh gosh.
I know. I was like, awesome. Like, yeah, get out of here.
To give that Matt guy a high five.
Yeah, or whenever I see Matt, I'd be like, way to be lost for a second or something.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. I was like, yep, no, I just made a really awkward situation. But on the flip side, now I have the sauna all to myself.
Yep.
So that was good.
And it worked.
It worked. It was great. Yep. I sat in there, got a sweat on.
Got properly hot.
Got properly hot. Yep. That was good. And I got out, and promptly the kids wanted to get back in the cold pool, and I had to get, that was quite a plunge back in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I know. I had a very, very similar set of circumstances. So we were traveling with some of my in-laws, which also includes GMA member Mike and his son Noah. And so we had a similar situation where we went over, we went in the hot tub, we were all hanging out and everything, and then we went and met like the rest of the family for like dinner at like the quick service, like eating like some chicken tenders, which by the way, gonna throw Alice just plumb under the bus.
Yo.
We walk up, we order the food, or like, I'm like, I told Alice, I was like, for some reason I was just so stoked about chicken tenders. It was like, there's nothing I want more right now than chicken tenders, because
I understand.
For some reason, I freaking love chicken tenders, but like sometimes when you go to a restaurant, it's almost like I have to like gauge what my relationship and the rapport is like with the waiter or the waitress and everything, and be like, can I have the chicken tenders?
Right. yeah. It's like it's sometimes like they like, because chicken tenders are often only on the menu in two capacities. It's either like as an appetizer or as a kid's meal item. And so sometimes it's like, you just want to start with anything, so you have to like be real sneaky about it and be like, yeah, I think we'll start with the chicken tenders. And then when they come back later, they're like, you guys ready to order? And you'll be like, I'm just gonna have. No, I'm good.
I'm gonna eat the chicken tenders. As it turns out, I know it's silly, but like they're here.
Right. They're more filling than I thought. I didn't intend to only order the chicken fingers.
Right. Yeah. But we are where we are. But I feel like we're at Disney, and it feels like the type of environment
you're like quick service, like concession stand situation. Always okay.
Always okay. Yeah. Always okay. Yeah. So like wide open. So I'm like, I walk up, tell Allie I want chicken tenders, and I go over and I'm like getting like drinks and stuff like that figured out and everything. And then they were like, Alice ordered like a cheeseburger, and they're like, hey, it's your lucky day. So like they like had like a cheeseburger like ready in the box, like to hand to her. So they hand her hers, and she goes and sits down with the rest of the family, and they're all eating and everything. And I'm just like standing there. I was like, man, it's weird. There's no chicken tenders. It seems like, I've seen like a whole bunch of people go through the line. Yeah. And I'm like, what's up? Where's my chicken tenders?
What is happening?
And so finally, like the lady is like, are you waiting for something? And I was like, yeah, I had the chicken tenders. He said lamely.
Yeah. For my kid.
And she's like, yeah, right. She's over there. She has teeth, trust me. And yeah, so I'm like, I had the chicken tenders. She's like, no, you didn't. And I was like, now it's like one of these situations where I'm like, yeah, I did. I have the chicken tenders. So like, and I'm like, it's getting worse, and I'm like sweating. Yeah. And Alice just didn't order my food.
Oh no!
So like
no.
We're both standing there at the counter, and like I turned around to like do drink duty, and she ordered her cheeseburger. So she's sitting over there. She's like done with her food.
Yeah.
And I still haven't gotten my chicken tenders. So then I had to go back up, wait in line, order the food, and then get my chicken tenders, which were amazing, by the way. I got barbecue sauce and honey mustard.
Whoa.
Delicious. Haven't been a huge lifelong fan of honey mustard, but I did it. It was great.
Yeah, I used to get the honey mustard at Shakers on Friday night dinner with my chicken tenders. Yeah.
I do remember that. Good times.
That was my classic go-to. Is that place still open? Shakers?
I believe it is.
Wow.
Yeah, next to the airport. If you're flying in, the spaghetti, if I remember correctly, especially with a big old heavy heaping spoonful of butter, which is my butter noodles, is what I would get as a kid.
Yeah, you got the butter noodles, and I would get the chicken tenders with the honey mustard.
Yeah.
And I feel like they changed the menu at some point, so maybe it's not as good anymore. When I say anymore, it's also been like 20 years since I've been to Shakers. So
maybe longer.
Longer.
Anyway, though, so I finally get my chicken tenders. I eat with everybody, and then Mike's son Noah is like, let's do the sauna. And it's like one of these things like where
Noah said, let's do the sauna?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Mike and I had gotten up that morning. We're marathon training right now. So we had to get up that morning. We had run 8 miles on like the golf course around the resort, which we did before sun up, and then realized that there were signs everywhere telling you not to run on like the golf cart paths. But like we didn't see them until the sun actually came up. We were like, oops. We were not supposed to do this.
Yeah, did you run into any golf carts?
It wasn't until like the very last mile, and we were at like a fork, and we were like, we're not sure which direction to go, like left or right. And we were like, left, and immediately like a golfer guy was like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, yelled at us. He's like, back that way, and we're like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we were in that way, and we got it done. So anyway, we got our 8 miles in.
Cool.
But so Mike and I at this point in time have woken up at like 5:30. We ran our 8 miles. We did a full day at Epcot. We have gotten back to the resort. We have gone to the hot tub. We have eaten our chicken tenders. And Noah's like, I want to go in the sauna. And all of us are straight up beat.
Yeah.
It's like, whoo, man, it has been quite the day. It has been quite the day.
Yeah.
And so like I could like see it in his face. He was like I could tell. I think he really wanted to do it. I was like,
right. He's been thinking about like saying that sentence for like 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. He's like me and the chicken tenders.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta say it. I gotta say it.
Yeah.
Gotta let people know. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. So Mike's like, all right, I'm in. And, honestly, I'm thinking too, like, given our run this morning, we could probably use a little extra recovery any which way. So we go in, we're like doing the thing. And I'm like, this is such a good bonding experience. And there's something weird about saunas. And this was the thing I was going to wrap up earlier was the place that I go here locally to do the floats and stuff, like the sensory deprivation floats. They also have a sauna room that you can rent. And so I've been going with a couple of my buddies, like, on like evenings and stuff, just to go and do like the sauna and then go grab like a beer or something afterwards. Me and you have also done this before.
We have.
And I have found that like the sauna, strangely, like I almost feel like there could be sauna therapy. Like, and what I mean by that is like,
it already kind of is therapy.
It already, like physical therapy.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that there is something kind of disarming about the like environment of the sauna that almost reminds me of like the show like Hot Ones.
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like whenever anybody goes, I actually love the show Hot Ones because they're eating the super spicy wings. If you've never seen it, they get progressively spicier, and then like the host, who I think he just seems like a really good interviewer.
Yes.
But like because they're like enduring this like physical thing together, I feel like a lot of these celebrities who you've seen on like late night shows a million times, and they've got all their stories like, nailed down perfectly, the anecdotes, the hilarious self-deprecating
Right. This is
humor.
their 500th press junket, and they've been asked the same 5 questions 100 times. And
right. So it's like whenever you see that in motion, it's like it feels not like it doesn't feel like it's not authentic. It just feels like practiced maybe or something. I don't even know how to properly describe it. But on Hot Ones, I feel like because they're doing this thing and because like they're like going through a gauntlet together, I do think that a lot of the celebrities who go on end up opening up and like actually really like speaking to like some stuff that like might be going on with them, and like it humanizes them in this way that I think is like really neat.
Yeah.
And so basically what I've picked up on when I've been doing the sauna with my buddies is that it's like when you get in there, it's like I feel like we have like some real talk. It's like we go in, it's like we talk. This is cool.
Yeah.
And so we're in there, it's me, Mike, and Noah, and we're hanging out. We like walk in, and it's just the three of us, and we're like, this is really cool. And I was like, man, this would be great because Noah is like the sweetest kid. He is so nice and like so like fun, but he's quiet.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he takes a little bit to like open up and stuff. And I was like, this is going to be really neat because like we're going to go in, we're doing the sauna there.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the place where we can like talk to him and see like what's going on in his life and stuff. And immediately upon walking in, there's a guy who comes in from Calgary, which is Canada.
Yeah.
And just like right away is like one of the, it almost felt like something from like in How I Met Your Mother, like Marshall's like where is he from? Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it almost seemed like something from that. I was like, wow. This is truly amazing. And we ended up having this like spectacular conversation with this guy from Calgary, who was just a pure delight, although I ended up completely missing out on my opportunity to have real talk with Noah.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I know. But I'm glad that we ended up both being able to have a sauna experience that was significant enough that after a full week at Disney, on this episode of the podcast, we're about 20 minutes in and have only talked about one thing that we didn't do together.
People are like, wow, how was Disney? Well, we went to the hotel sauna. So
can I tell you all about that for 20 minutes?
Yeah, here we go. I could also tell you the story about the time I broke into a sauna.
Whoa.
I know.
Is this a fact?
This is a fact,
You broke into a sauna.
Me and John Jennings broke into a sauna.
Well, where was the rest of us?
Okay, so this was in college. It was during winter break, I believe, of my sophomore year.
Okay.
So I was at Tech, and there was this big group that the Jennings siblings had assembled together to go to Snowshoe.
Okay.
They got one of those like these like big houses where like, it's like very much one of those situations where it's like, yeah, the way we're going to afford this is we're going to cram like 30 people in here.
Yeah.
And people will be sleeping on floors, and every couch is filled, and there will be people everywhere in the house all the time and whatever. So that was the situation. There was just a ton of people there. And me and John one night and one of John's sisters, like roommates at college, were like, let's go try and get, I don't know if we were going to go try and ski at Silver Creek, or if we were just going to go try and like swim in the pool or get in the hot tub or something.
Okay.
Yeah, but Silver Creek is like a little bit further down the mountain, and it's still part of Snowshoe, but it's like you need to be staying at the Silver Creek Hotel to get like access to the pool and stuff. Like there's literally a sign up sheet where you're supposed to like sign in and put your room number and things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you can walk in anywhere if you just have enough confidence. So
yeah, absolutely.
We walk in there and we're like,
carry that swagger.
Yeah, exactly. We just, you just gotta look like you belong. And we get in there, and there's like no one's really watching or anything, and we just slip right on by. We get into the pool. I think we had to like wait for someone to like open a door, because like I think there was an arcade next to the pool.
Oh yeah,
and like you needed a key card to open the pool door, so we just had to like sit there and like pretend we were playing video games until someone walked through, and then we had to like go catch the door.
Nice.
Yeah, so sly.
It's
so
like a
sly.
heist.
It was like, yeah, basically.
Have they considered making a movie out of this story?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
They might now that it's really public out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get in there, and there's a sauna available, and I don't think John had ever done a sauna before.
Okay.
Because he's like, oh, John Carl, let's do the sauna. And I think he was very excited, like he'd heard about it and like knew of the benefits or whatever. Like, let's go try it. But I'm gonna tell you one thing about our good buddy John Jennings, is that he does not handle super hot things well.
Yeah, he does not like super hot weather.
No,
yeah,
does not like super hot weather. Let me tell you, sauna's nothing but just humidity in a box.
Just plain hot.
Just plain hot. And this one in particular was very, I mean, it was, I think the ones like me and you go to, like at the end of it, sometime, like I think ideal sauna temperature is like 170 or something.
Yeah,
right?
it's like over 150, but I feel like the best results are achieved at like 170, which like based on what your sauna going experiences are, like 170 is hot.
Yeah.
Like really hot.
Yeah.
So that's like, really starting to like hit the ceiling, I think, on temps.
Yeah, starting to hit it up there. So I want to say we walked in and it was like already there.
Oh man.
And like I sat down like I was just like, I was fine. I was like, this is great. And John, I don't think he lasted like 1 minute. It was like he was like read something on the sign. It's like, if it gets above this, it could be like scalding or something. He was like, I gotta get out of here. He books it out of the sauna. He was like, that is not for me. That was pretty funny. But yeah, that was the time me and John and Lauren broke into a sauna at Snowshoe.
Wow.
Yeah, we lasted like a minute, and I was like, okay, I guess we're getting out. Bummer.
Man, think about how much healthier you could have been if it was even like maybe 6-7 minutes.
If only.
You'd be a completely different person now.
Might be. We'll see. So anyway, Disney trip. We brought the kids down. This was the first time we had been to Disney. Yeah, like with full family. All the kids.
Yes.
All the kids who were like at an age where they could sort of do stuff. Like Luke, somehow this was like his 4th trip to Disney World.
I know.
Which is like blowing my mind.
Yeah. It's like when I think about like even going as a child, like you and I went in the year 1999, I think. And like the fact that we went to Disney ever in our life was almost like, it was like having gone to like Paris or something, it's like I have done that. I have gone to Paris before and seen the Eiffel Tower. And it's almost like it didn't even occur to me that you could go more times than that once.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we've definitely had some like fortunate situations where we got invited down and they said we could, bring
family.
And I was our
work has definitely.
Our work has helped a lot on that front. And then you got married there, so Luke had to make another trip. And then I think we surprised just the girls for Valentine's Day or something.
Oh yeah,
once.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Luke had to go that time. So, but he was like actually old enough this time. I was excited about, and the twins were like big enough to do stuff. And you had Addie with you. So
Yes.
Addie's maybe not like big enough to like she can like ride some of the rides.
You want to know what she loved?
What?
A balloon.
A balloon.
She loved a balloon.
Nice.
It was like one of her all-time faves. Like
Yeah.
every time she like ran into it in the room itself back at the resort, it was just like she would like scream, and it was like, you sound upset, but I can tell you're jazzed.
Right. Like, oh my God, the balloon.
Yeah, and then she would bop it. Anyway, so but yeah, so Addie's still a little bit on the earlier end of things, but in years to come she'll get there. What was like for you, like the kids things that like stood out the most? Like what went the best, or like was there anything that you like put one of the kids on and it was like, ooh, this was not a good call?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, a bunch of all of that thing happened. All of those things happened.
Okay.
So yeah, we first got there. Our first day was in Magic Kingdom, and one of the first things we did was the Aladdin's magic carpets.
Okay. Yeah.
Which they have about like 5 versions of this ride across all the different parks.
This was something
here and there and everywhere.
Yeah, that I had never really noticed before, and I have to tell you, it was so interesting going even like with your kids at all, just because like we've been to Disney now quite a few times. I mean, obviously, like we just said, I got married there even, and there's so many aspects of the parks that like almost were like a little like irrelevant maybe to us up until this point, just because like, obviously we were like, oh, like let's go do Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, like,
try and get all the big rides in.
Yeah, try to do the big stuff. And so for the most part, like I don't ever really think I had truly paused to take in, like, I mean, and obviously it's Disney World. Like every time I've said this to anybody, I'm like, I'm explaining something obvious, but at the same rate, it's like I somehow didn't notice it either, which is just
right.
It's like the entire place is so well equipped for kids of exactly this age.
Yes.
In a way that like is almost, it comes across to me as like almost like surprising that like there was so much for like a 3-year-old to do.
Yeah, that it is like pretty cool in that way. Because I remember, even when we went as kids, thinking like, man, like the roller coasters here aren't like that intense or anything.
Right.
But like, and that's true, they're not. But the end result is that like most of the rides can't be done by people of like, any age.
Yeah, I mean, we took, like Pirates of the Caribbean, for example. I mean, we could just literally take Addie on the ride.
Right,
with
you
us.
can just sit in your lap because it's very, very gentle.
Yeah.
Minus like one like 5-foot drop or something. But yeah, so like that was the first thing we did was the Aladdin's magic carpets, and the kids got, we put them in there, and like it started up, and this is like really the first like real ride like Nick or Nate had ever done, and Luke had done some, but we're sitting in there and like you just turn around and they were all just having an absolute blast. And if you don't know what this ride is, it's basically just like the Tilt-A-Whirl, it's just like, well, it doesn't even tilt, it's just the whirl.
Just the whirl.
It's just you just spin around in circles sitting on a carpet. And you do have a little lever that you can use to like make the carpets rise up and down.
Okay, I was going to ask you this very question because I was watching it knowing that you guys had gone on it, and I was noticing that like different ones were going up, like going, higher, lower and everything. And I was like, is that just random based on the ride, or is that actually is you pulling the lever?
That's you pulling the lever. If you sit in the front, you can make it go up and down, and then if you sit in the back, you can make it like tilt side to side.
Okay.
So there is some like control to it, which was fun.
A little bit of Tilt-A-Whirl action.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of Tilt-A-Whirl action in that regard. But then like it's so that was really cool that they got off it and they were all like, "Can we do it again?" It was like, absolutely.
That is why we're here.
Yeah, there's like no line, especially the other good thing about like the kids rides is that there's not really like huge lines most of the time. So you can just basically, you don't have to wait that long to get back on. So we did it a second time. That was super fun. Then we walked over to Tomorrowland and we did the Astro Orbiter.
Yep.
Which, if you don't know, this is like another cool thing where it's like a lot of times when I'm in Tomorrowland, like you can see it up there. It's just like the rockets way up on top of like the center thing, like spinning in a circle. It's basically just another like Tilt-A-Whirl, but it's almost the exact same ride except that it's on top of a building. So when you're up there, you're like really high up.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But like so often, I don't think I've ever done this ride. And every time I'm at Disney, like I see it up there, but it like there's so many other like rotating, spinning things that I've always just felt like it almost just looks like decoration, like it's just part of the park.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, you can go up and ride it, and so we did that, and that was super fun. I like that one. That was probably the best like Tilt-A-Whirl ride, just because it's so much higher, so you get like this awesome view of the park.
Yeah, I was literally I was thinking about that because I was the same way. I had always noticed the rockets up there and always just kind of generally assumed that it was just part of like the aesthetic of Tomorrowland because it fits, which it still fits anyway. It's just more functional than I had ever really given it any mind to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But it's like it would be really cool if there were like skyscrapers in like New York City that just randomly had a Tilt-A-Whirl on the roof.
Oh my
It'd
gosh.
Be like, can you imagine being
so scary
that high up?
That'd be insane. Dude, oh man, I'm getting like the nervous bump, the nervous feelings,
like
the sweaty palms just thinking
palms.
about it. Woo, boy. Yeah, that'd be wild.
It's like how can you take something that when it's 10 feet off the ground, it's like kind of mundane.
Yeah.
Put it like 1,000 feet above the ground. It's like, whoa.
Oh my gosh. It's like, are you ever at any concern at all that the carpet is going to fall and that you're something bad's going to happen? It's like, no, not at all. Not concerned at all.
Not one bit.
Not one bit. If that carpet was, another 1,000 feet in the air, I'd be like, oh my God, no way. No way.
At one point in time, Alice and I were like, we need to go on more adventures. And so we decided to book a hot air balloon outing in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it was like one of these things where it was like, I did not really know an awful lot about like how going hot air ballooning was supposed to go. And it was like, in my mind, it's like probably the slowest form of air travel ever. It's not directional at all. And I didn't even know how it all worked. So like, as we're like going in, it's literally one of these things where like the woman who ran the operation was just like, okay, depending on wind speeds today, we're going to start from either like this random parking lot or there's like a government building over here. And sometimes we can just take off from their front lawn. And I'm like, you mean it's not like a spot that you take off from? It's like based on like whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like literally they rolled up and there's just this like big open field and they're like, yeah, it's fine. They'll usually be like, as long as we're pretty quick about it. And I'm like, for real, you're just pulling up to this yard and setting up a 100-foot balloon and going for it. And then once you're in the air, it doesn't steer. It just floats with the air. It just floats
around, yeah.
So like, you get up there and immediately the thing that I was like, I couldn't believe how much I was like white knuckling the sides because I was not expecting to be like scared on a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
But then like, the basket only comes up to like your belt line, which is the other thing, so it's like if it was up here and you're sort of like looking down, like, over your chin, it's like, okay, no big deal. But this was like, all I would need to do is like lean forward too far. And if I was standing like outside of a restaurant waiting for my name to be called to go in and I was leaning on the railing, I wouldn't be worried that I would flip over the railing. I would lean on it like it was no big deal.
Right.
But like when you're up there, it's like, well, what if I do lean over it?
What if I fall?
What if I fall? Anyway, and then after all that, it was like when it comes to landing, she's, the woman's up there, the pilot, and she's just sort of like, all right, I'm going to look for a field. That yard looks pretty good. Hopefully they don't mind us landing there. And so it's like literally just a private property, like a small like hobby farm.
Sorry, we landed our balloon here. Hope that's okay.
Yeah. So we start coming down. We scrape through the trees.
Oh man.
So there's like, trees like rocking the basket everywhere. It lands on the ground and then it's like, the thing is full of air too. So it starts like dragging, if you can imagine. So it's like we kind of come in at like an angle. It's like boom. And then they lift off the ground, like kind of like bounce off the ground and then like keep dragging. And it's like, all right, now exit, And it's just like the whole thing was just unreal. I couldn't believe it. So hot air ballooning. Yeah. I mostly I brought all of that up just literally because of the premise of like being higher makes you more nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah,
absolutely.
That was 1,000% the instance where I was like, wow, I am very scared right now.
Yeah.
I am super worried about how this is going to go down.
Oh man.
Quite literally. Anyway, back to Disney.
Yeah. So we did those. Those were like our warm-up rides. We did the Astro Orbiter, the Magic Carpets. I think we did the Winnie the Pooh ride, and at this point, like Luke's been on, maybe I think we even did the carousel too. So we've been on like 4 rides already. And I'm like, okay, all right. We have our lightning lane now at like Thunder Mountain. So it's time to go over there. And I'm thinking to myself like, okay, all right. This is like a moment I've been like wondering about like since Luke was born, like how is he going to handle roller coasters?
Right.
Like is he going to like it? The twins are not tall enough to do it, but Luke is. So we're like kind of going over to it. And like he's done like Luke, like we have like the VR thing and there's like a roller coaster game in there. And the one, like he only ever does like the one track and it is even like train themed.
Okay.
So I'm like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like maybe like this is a very good, and like Thunder Mountain is like, it's exciting, but it's not like crazy or anything. There's no loops. You don't go upside down or anything.
Right. That does feel like you got to graduate up to upside down.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but my first roller coaster was like an upside down roller coaster. So you just go for it. But so yeah, but like this is like Luke is definitely like right on the line, so we're like standing in line. We've got the lightning lane, which I think is good because I'm like, we're just gonna get right to the front. There's not gonna be time to like worry about it or think about it. We're just gonna go sit down and then it'll go. And once you're on it, you'll be great. As long as you're not worried about like what I'm worried about is he's gonna start freaking out before we get on the ride.
Yes.
And then he's gonna be like, I want to get off, which my whole strategy worked. We got on. He was like, is this a roller coaster? I'm like, it's a train ride. It's like an exciting train ride.
It's like it's just like a speedy little train.
Yeah. So we sit down and it gets going, and I honestly think he would have been great. But the way Thunder Mountain starts is like you go forward like 10 feet and then it takes this like tiny drop and like turn into this like pitch black cave area.
Yeah, like with bat eyes.
Yeah, with like bat eyes and stuff. And then there's like the very loud clacking of the tracks as it like the coaster like like grabs onto the bottom so it can pull you up the hill. So it's just this loud like clack 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 sound. And I mean, it's loud and it's dark, and like Luke was not expecting it, and like right from that moment on he was just like, I want off, like this is not good. And then of course like, well, too bad, we gotta do the rest of the ride.
We're now in it.
Yeah, we're now in it. Now thankfully he was sitting between me and Beth, so we could kind of hold on to him, be like, it's almost over, but so I don't think I think we went too hard too fast on the roller coaster, because he was like then like very like gun shy about like going on other rides.
Right.
Yeah, like, oh, is this gonna be like that?
It's definitely like like the fine line to walk, because like there's like that, like, it's like everything's going really great. Like I wonder if can we do a little, like the next one? Can we go a little bit bigger? Like everything else has gone well. And
I know, then, we did the Astro Orbit. It was pretty high up there. It was pretty exciting.
Right.
You were having a blast on that one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So no, I know exactly what you mean. And I feel like I would have the exact same, like I find like with Addison, I'm definitely like touching the edges of this where she is now like successfully walking quite a bit. She can like climb on the couch, by herself. Like she's got like some like basic mobility. So at this point she's 15 months old, just for reference, in case anybody's not keeping track. And so like, it's definitely one of those things where it's like she started like walking like regularly and like can almost run. And I'm like, are we close to skiing? Like, but then
can we do it?
Right. It's like, maybe this upcoming winter, it's like, is that like about when I can think like possibly we could go skiing together? But then you also find yourself in that position of like, okay, like I want to set them up for success, and so it's like the hope is that if you introduce them to this like new idea, this new concept, this new like sort of like frontier pushing thing, which is a very good reference specifically for yours.
Yeah, Frontierland. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it could go one of two ways. It could end up being the case, it's like whenever you hear, and this is probably my real problem, is like you hear like the stories like during like the Olympics, for example, and they'll be like talking about like this new up and coming snowboarder, and they'll cut to like home video. It's like, by the time he was 18 months, he was already ripping it down the greens.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're like, okay,
all right,
I like the sound of that. Yeah. It's like also an Olympian statistical anomaly.
Right.
People like this don't exist.
Right.
There's no data that helps track how people end up here. So it's like, you're always trying to figure out like what is the version of it where it's like, oh yeah, like my dad introduced it to me when I was really young. So like I kind of grew up doing this.
Right.
Versus my dad introduced it to me when I was too young, and I was basically scarred from the beginning and never wanted to do it again.
I know. I'm like, that's the danger. Like either it's like I was going on the ride, I was like, either Luke is gonna freaking love this and like he's gonna be like he's just gonna like want to do everything, or he's gonna hate it and it's gonna be like and that was more the way it went. Which was unfortunate. I think he'll come back around. I'm not sure he's like scarred for life or anything.
Right.
I really thought but I really thought like once we got moving, like it'll be okay. Like even if you're afraid to get on, I thought getting on was going to be the hard part.
Right.
Because like even leading up to it, we had to go on the plane. And even though Luke has been on planes before, he's always been like too young to really remember it or be too cognizant of it.
Right.
But like getting on the plane to Disney this time, he was like clearly worried about it for like days. He like kept asking about it. And we're in the plane. It's like about to happen. You know, we're in the seat and he is like in fight or flight mode, man. He like wants to like book it off the plane.
Right.
You know, he's like trying.
All of his instincts are like, no.
Like, no, this is not good. He's like literally trying to run to the door of the plane. You know,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, it's going to be okay. And it was so crazy though, because then once it started going, like we started like taxiing around, we're like, look, it's okay. Look how slow we're moving. Like, it's fine. Like it's okay. And like almost as soon as we started moving and like nothing bad happened, he was like, oh, okay. And then like we took off and he was like, this is so fun. This is so cool. And then he was like looking out the window and he's like, this is so beautiful. Like it was like, he just like went like the most 180 thing I've ever seen. So I was like, I feel like that's how the roller coasters are going to be. Like if I can just get him on it, he'll be okay.
Right.
And so I feel like if I had like covered his ears or something at the beginning and he hadn't had to go through like the big loud noise, like maybe it would have been okay or something. Or if it hadn't been like so scary for the first 10 seconds, it might have been okay. But anyway.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too because it's like as I've gotten older and older and older, it's like the basic like center of so much of fear is always comes back to the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And so it's like it can be so terrifying to do something for the first time until you've done it for the first time and you realize that like it's a lot more approachable than you previously thought it was.
Yeah.
So I feel like especially with what you said, it seems like on Thunder Mountain, like it could definitely be the case where it's like, okay, there's like the unknown about like, what does it feel like to be on a roller coaster? It's like, okay, this is kind of fun. But then like you find yourself in that cavern and it's like both the darkness and the noise are both like unto themselves their own unknowns. It's like,
yeah,
why is it so loud? And also, why is it so dark? / I don't know. Like darkness itself makes sense why it is scary because it envelops you in the unknown.
Yeah.
You are now unaware of everything around you. So it's like that. It was almost like a little bit of like a triple whammy.
Yeah,
that ended up being like,
yeah,
sort
and
of
you're like on
introduced.
this like ride, it's moving and all
Right,
that stuff too.
right.
So anyway, which is not to say Luke stopped doing the rides for the rest of the trip or anything. He did all the rest of them too. But
Yeah.
there was like a little more trepidation getting on each one. Like, is this going to be scary? Are we going to go fast? Like, is it going to be dark? And
Right.
stuff like that. But I will say the one ride that seemed to like flip everything back around for him was the It's a Small World.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because oh my gosh, I've been on it like once or twice and I'm always like, it's a classic. It's been here forever. There's the song and it's a small world and it just goes, all the characters are cute or whatever. Like I could take it or leave it, but like as of this trip, I'm like, man, like new memory,
Yeah.
Because like Luke was in there
yeah.
and I could tell like, because we did Pirates at one point and it's like dark in there and it's like, this was like right after Thunder Mountain, so he was a little more like, I don't want to do it. But we did it and he was good. So this one like looks like Pirates getting on, like you're getting in a slow moving boat that's going into a tunnel.
Yeah.
But like we came through the tunnel and it's just like this bright world of all these toys dancing and doing all their little songs. And he was just like, this is the best.
Yes.
So
yes.
he loved that one. So that I feel like saved him on the rides.
Excellent. Yeah. We had a really fantastic time with It's a Small World too, because that is another one that we can very easily bring Addie on. And so like you're in line, and one of the things about It's a Small World is that there's like just a million little, like it's almost like a model train set, just it's been made into like big size.
Yeah.
So like everywhere you look, there's like a different like doodad or gadget or something that's like spinning or whirring or whirling.
Every time I'm on It's a Small World, all I can think is like, it looks like someone's high school project like on steroids or something.
Yeah.
Because like nothing is really like that complicated looking. It's just that there's so much of it everywhere.
Yes.
It's like, okay, it's just like 4 dolls spinning in place, but it's like, it's 4 dolls spinning in place, kicking their legs out and doing this little motion. It's like, okay, that's all. That doesn't seem that complicated. But then there's this big background behind them. And the background really just looks like someone cut some plywood out and painted it and put some glitter on it. So that's not that complicated. But like, it's like every single thing just would have taken a long time to make, and they put it together. But someone did it, you know?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like when you see it, no one thing necessarily is like mind-boggling.
Yeah,
like, well, I don't know how they did that.
Right. It's like it is such a great example of being like more than the sum of its parts.
Yes, yeah. That's a great way to put it. So, but we were standing in line for it, and like, you know, as every single thing Addie saw, she was like, she does this really adorable like, whoa, like it's like her version of like whoa.
Yeah.
But like every time, you know, we like turn a new corner and she sees something new, she would just do like the same noise over and over again. And it was just like, oh man, it was so adorable. It made me so happy. And it's cool too, because like I do think that like as we like raise our kids and of course now like that we're like able to go back to the parks more frequently as adults and everything, it's like I think that it's like we got to go as adults by ourselves before we had kids and like experience all this stuff and go and like, you know, race from ride to ride and be there at rope drop and like do everything. But now it's like, I think what we're going to get to do is literally go through each of the motions with them, where it's like the character meet and greets, for example, is not something that historically I have put like a huge amount of like emphasis on my trips. I think I met Olaf once before, and it was like, that was like really like Alice and I on our first trip, we went and we met Olaf and we took a picture and it was like, yay. But otherwise, you know, like it's never really stood out to me as like worth like the 40-minute wait in line or like using a fast pass or a lightning lane or whatever the current word is. But now it is like one of those things where if Addie was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go and meet like one of the princesses or like whatever, it'd be like, oh my gosh, like let's do that, you know? Like, how cool will this be?
Whatever you want to do.
I've never even done this part of the experience before.
That was like a big part of it. Like, yeah, you're right. Like so many sections of the park that I've just like walked past or like not even noticed were like suddenly like unlocked.
Yes.
Like in Magic Kingdom, there's this whole like carnival fairground type area where they've got like the Barnstormer and the Dumbo's Elephants ride and stuff like that. And it's like, we've been to Disney like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times as adults. And like, I've never set foot over there.
Right.
It's like, it's like also like, why would I? It's like definitely like the for little kids section of the park, lots of stuff to do over there. But it's like all of a sudden, like I had a good reason to go over there and we did it. And like we did the Barnstormer. We should have done the Barnstormer before Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
That tracks.
Cause Luke did not want to do the Barnstormer, but like Nick and Nate loved it. They had a blast on it.
That's awesome. That was our favorite as a kid. I feel like I feel like we rode it like 15 times or something.
I think like Tyler wasn't quite old enough to do or wasn't like tall enough to do some of the rides, but like he was tall enough to do that one, and like so we did it, and it was like that was pretty fun.
Right.
And there was like not a line when we were there, so I think they just let us like sit on it and just keep going.
I know, yeah. Like I it's funny that you brought that up because I feel like I've had that same memory before, but then like whenever I'm at the parks, I'm like, I must be remembering it wrong because like that's not a thing. Like it's always so busy, so I don't know if like even just like the like 25 years that have transpired since that childhood trip is just like it was different in 1999. Like you could just go and like the lines weren't that wild at, like every single day, and you could just keep going.
Yeah.
But even that's kind of like an interesting like thing to discuss, I feel like, because coming into today's episode, one of the topics that I had like sort of stumbled across was like memory and recollection from childhood, and how very frequently the way that like memory actually works is that like there's like the original memory, and then there's like the recall of that memory, and then like all future iterations of going back and gathering a memory after that, you're almost playing this like bizarre little telephone game with yourself, where you start to recall your recollections of the memory.
Like I remember remembering that.
And like you know, and maybe as time went on, you've like slightly painted it in like a different light, or like maybe you've like reformatted it, and it's like when I was actually there for the first time, I was terrified, but now I look back on it fondly.
Right.
You know, and it's like, and maybe that's a like Inside Out is like a really good illustration once again of how exactly that happens, where it's like this was one of my favorite childhood memories, and then something sad happened, and now it's one of my saddest childhood memories.
Right, yeah. It's like it's been painted a different color now.
Right, yes. Yeah. But so anyway, I thought a lot about that because I was like, whenever I go there, and now that we do have the kids and stuff, I've thought a lot about like our childhood trip and like what mattered to us and like what we did and all the rest of it. Oh, pin collecting.
Oh, pin collecting. Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
And if anything, if anybody out there in the world is more familiar, I would almost even love to get like the insight because, in case you're unaware, one of the things when you go to Disney is that they sell pins everywhere for everything you could possibly imagine. They've got every character.
Almost.
I was going to say, like there is a caveat and it will come up. But then in addition to collecting pins, like people will have like backpacks or like sweaters or hats, or lanyards or whatever that they'll like attach all of their pins to.
Yep.
And this is another one of those like Disneyisms that like for the longest period of time, I mostly was like, I've bought the pins before and I've like stuck them on my board here at the office. I've got a couple of them at home that have just like, it's like a specific memory that I've got. Like when we did the Galactic Star Cruiser, the Halcyon.
Yeah.
We got like a really neat pin. And so like I've got that like stuck on like my office wall and it's a cool little thing to showcase or whatever. But otherwise, I've never truly gotten into like the culture of the pins, which is something at Disney World that's pretty prominent. Like there are lots of stations in the parks where you can go and do like pin trading.
Yes.
And it's literally, as best as I know, it's like a literal like 1-for-1 exchange.
Yep.
And like there will just be like a cast member, like an employee of Disney Parks who has like a bulletin board that is just full of pins.
Yeah. I think that's how you can always tell like the trading is available. They'll have like this Mickey shaped bulletin board with a bunch of pins on it. But I also think if you just run into any cast member and they have any pin on them, like they will trade with you.
They will trade with you. Okay.
I think. I don't know. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, so yeah, like one of the things that I've been like super curious about is that like anything else, there's this is like the treasure hunt now all of a sudden turns into. It's like it's like some of these must be valuable. Some of these must be from like a long time ago. There have got to be people out there who have been like longtime collectors that intentionally will go and like leave something special just so that someone else can find it.
Yeah.
I think
there's got to be there's got to be, and if you've been doing it long enough, there's almost no doubt like you will start to like recognize like I remember these from a while ago, or these came from like a collection, or like that one's pretty rare, or these are really common,
Yeah.
Like, and like to me it's always like I bet most of the ones they put out there are just like very common ones, and like in like a cynical part of my brain, I'm like, I bet their whole game here is that they want you to trade like more valuable pins for less valuable ones. And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Like that's the game. All of the ones on there only cost like $5 and they're all just leftover inventory anyway. So like what they want you to do is buy a pin so you can trade it for a less valuable one. But then like what are they going to do with the new one? I don't know.
True.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
There's like a vault at Disney somewhere that's just full of like treasure.
I know. Like,
pin treasure.
Pin treasure. Oh, man. But yeah, so it is one of the things at Disney, like I've known about the pin trading for a long time, but it's always been one of those things like I want to like partake in it, but like I didn't really know like how or have like a purpose attached to it other than like it sounds fun, but like what am I really looking for? Just like a different pin? Like why wouldn't I just pick a pin I want off the wall?
Right, yes, exactly. Yep.
Sort of thing. But so on this trip in particular, when we got to the parks on the first day, I think like the first gift shop or whatever we went into, all the kids are immediately like, oh man, like they see this like wall of, toys and plushes and all that stuff. And, I think
there's merch at Disney?
There's merch everywhere at Disney. And of course, like our parents are with us and they're immediately, they're just spoiling the grandkids, but they tell them, like, go get, go pick out a plush or whatever.
Right.
And so adorably, Nick and Nate both pick out the same thing and it's a Pluto plush.
Okay.
Which is awesome. Because, like, I don't know why they picked Pluto or whatever, but they did. And so they both wanted it all week. They both slept with their Plutos all week. And then, like, we were walking around Epcot the next day, and we see that there's a character meet and greet. There's, like, 3 people in line. I think we got there right as it started, and it's for Pluto. So it was like, oh man, how perfect. Let's go do it. Let's go meet him. We had this little autograph book, which by the way, the autograph book was one of my favorite things on this trip because when we went in 1999, I had an autograph book and it has survived the test of time. And like I dug it out before this trip and we brought my autograph book from when I was a kid.
I could not
to
believe
give to the kids.
Yes. Yeah. I saw you with the autograph book and I was like, man, that's so cool. And you're like, it's the same one as like the one we had as kids. And I was like, they still sell the same one. How about that? And Jay's like, no, it's the same one.
It's the same physical one.
Like the one we had as kids. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. So that was really fun that they were like able to like add to it like a new chapter or whatever. So that's pretty fun. Hopefully we'll be able to continue doing that. But so now I've had like 2 run-ins with Pluto. And then like mom was out like buying a pin one day and she like, because of that, she like got a Pluto pin. She decided that was going to be hers. And then on like when mom was picking out the Pluto pin, Beth was also picking out a sweatshirt and they came back and like she'd picked out a Pluto sweatshirt and it was like all just like very like, man, there's a lot of Pluto on this trip.
It's like the theme of the trip.
It's like the theme. Yeah. Suddenly out of nowhere, like Pluto was like the theme of the trip. So I was like, okay. So another thing they're doing with the pins right now is there's this like 100 like collection or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number was for.
I think that I think it's a reference to like the character of Mickey Mouse being like 100 years old.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But so yeah, there was these cool looking pins that are like they were like all silver, and they would like be any given character like Donald or Mickey or Minnie or whatever, and it would be all silver except for like one featured part of it, which was like a signature color of that character. So it's like Donald all silver, but his shirt is still blue, or Mickey, but his pants are still red.
Yeah,
and so like. I went to the first couple and I saw them. I'm like, oh, these look awesome. I love them. But so all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? They have these classic characters. There's got to be a Pluto one out there.
Certainly,
yeah. There's got to be. And I'm like, I just haven't found it yet because there's like, there are so many and not every pin trader has every single pin you can buy.
Right.
So like, I'll find it. I'll find the Pluto one at some point, right? For sure. Well, no, there's not. Eventually I was like, I bet I can just look online and see if it exists so I can even know if I'm like looking for something that's real. And it's like, it doesn't. So then I'm like, okay, I'm off that. Now I'm just going to buy any Pluto pin.
Right.
And let me tell you something, Ben, none except for the one that mom bought, which was like a baby Pluto. Otherwise, like that was the Pluto pin available for purchase at Disney World right now.
Which was
that? Blowing my mind. I'm like, there's got to be a Pluto pin out here. There's just got to be.
I bet people send you Pluto pins now.
Please do. So I'm like looking all week over it. And then like Beth and I go to Disney Springs one night and we walk through. This was the weirdest thing. There's this big like Christmas store where you can buy like an ornament for basically any Disney character ever. You want a Disney Christmas tree? Great. We have them year round, unless you want a Pluto ornament because they don't sell one.
No.
I could not believe it. I was like, are you like Pluto was one of the Sensational Six. Okay. Like you got to have him everywhere. If anywhere you're selling Mickey, you gotta have Pluto. Okay, this is ridiculous. So me and Beth were like, how is this possible? Like we just want like a pin. We want a Pluto something,
right?
That we can get. And so then after we walk out of the Christmas store, we walk into this pin trader booth, and I'm like, okay, all right. Let's look here. This is the pin store at Disney Springs. All they sell is pins.
Yeah.
If they have it anywhere, it's here. And so we look around, sure enough, there's nothing on the walls for Pluto. And then I see the pin trader board and I'm like, oh man, the pin board, the trader board has Pluto pins on it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like, okay. And then we talked to them like, so how does it work? Like we give you a pin and you just trade it. And they're like, yep, that's how it works. You only do 2 a day. And I'm like, okay, that works because there's only 2 Pluto pins on this board. And then I go over and it's like, okay, so now we need to basically go buy 2 pins so we can go trade them.
Yeah.
But so then I look around and there's like these little, bundle packs you can buy of pins. So I'm like, okay, this would be a good way to do it. Because then if we run into any other pin traders, I can trade them away.
Right.
And, look for any more Plutos. And I find one and it turns out you can't buy single Pluto pins, but you can buy a Pluto inside of a bundle, which I was not willing to do previously. But now I'm like, doesn't matter. I'm just going to trade the other ones and keep this one. So
everything's turned up.
Everything, all of a sudden, I've like flipped the script on the Pluto pin problem. So I buy my little bundle, which comes with like Mickey and Chip and Dale and Minnie and Pluto or something. So I'm like, we immediately trade like Minnie and Chip and Dale. Like, don't need these. Give me those 2 Pluto pins.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I've gone from 0 to 3, just like that.
Wow. Practically rich.
Practically rich, yeah. No, not like one booth later, there's another pin trader with another Pluto pin on. I'm like, this is amazing. Traded off the Mickey one, and just like that, I've got 4. I'm like, this is so fun.
That is amazing.
I know. I'm like, oh, I am this. So like now, Beth and I have decided that like just long term in our returns to Disney, we are on the hunt for Pluto pins wherever we go.
That's so fun.
This is, yeah.
And I feel like this is like, it almost even felt like the concept was like slowly being like crystallized on this particular trip, because it was the same thing. Like Noah was with us, and his big thing was that like he walked through a couple of stores, he looked at all the stuff, he was trying to figure out the merch, he wanted to know what he wanted. Like we had all given him like gift cards and stuff like that for Christmas, so he had like, you know, some money that he could spend on something, but like I think he was really hesitant to like as to like what that was going to be. So finally he had like bought his lanyard, he bought like a pin starter kit and like put him on there, which I was so jazzed about, because then he had it like on him all the time, and every ride, like every roller coaster we went on, he would go and get like a pin and like add it to his collection and stuff. But like, yeah, exactly like what you were saying though, is like as you're seeing like all these like the pin trading world and stuff like that, like it's almost awesome to me that there was a scarcity of Pluto. Yeah. Because then it's like, see, now I'm starting to get it. Now it's like if you want like a specific character, it's like maybe there is like a fairly limited run at any point in time. Yeah. That, like they might have hundreds of pins available, but there are hundreds of Disney characters. Right. So like let's say I wanted like genie pins or something. It's like maybe they only have a few right now. But like they always, like each year maybe they make a new one, you know? So it's like in order to like collect all your genie pins, you gotta go like work it a little bit. You gotta go like play the game and kind of like go and interact with all these like other little kiosks and stuff. Yeah, so
I've noticed this before with the Emperor's New Groove. Oh, because like it has a very there's like no presence of it at the parks at all. I know. But every now and then it'd be like, oh, there's like a Cusco pin or something. But like that'll be it. Like that's its whole presence at the park. But like every time I've gone, I've always noticed like there's an Emperor's New Groove pin. It's like, there's always one. There's like it is here. And if you were trying to get Emperor's New Groove stuff, you could always find at least one thing, and here it is. Right. Yeah.
No, and it's so cool too though, because like the other aspect of it is like so for me, growing up, I really loved like my aquariums, right? Yeah. Like I got into the saltwater stuff, and like in a very similar sense, like surprisingly, maybe, possibly, depending on your familiarity with it, within the world of aquariums, corals are like the trading cards, or in this case, the trading pins. Like you could go through and any one store might have like a specific strain of like an acan, for example. It's a specific type of coral. It's really pretty. And like they all end up getting like different names based on like the color spectrum they have, whether it's like got like they're graded, you know, so if it has more than like 3+ colors, then it's become like an ultra grade. Oh yeah. You know, which makes it like even more valuable and stuff. Nice. And one of the things about it frequently that I would realize is that like whenever I would see one of these tanks in person, it often felt like a little bit like a fruit stand. You know, it was almost like, it's like there's a whole bunch of small corals, but like when you look at it, it doesn't look like a natural flowing coral reef, like where like Nemo and Marlin and like they're like little like town where everything is like full grown and mature and waving and all the rest of everything. So like what was always more fun was almost going on like reef forums and seeing like people's photo collections, right? You know, because you could scroll through and be like, oh, you've got like the Superman one and like the Hulk and like whatever, which surprisingly always using Skittles. Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that wasn't a superhero name. Those were all different names for different types of acans. But the thing with like aquarium keeping is that like aquariums, by their very nature, are not in any way, shape, or form meant to be moved. Right, they sit where they are. They are very heavy, and like you basically need to like have people willing to come to where you are for them to properly see like your whole collection. Right. So like there's this part of me like, you know, you like walk around, like again, people have it like whether or not it's on their backpack, whether or not it's like on the front of their scooter, on a stroller, you know, like whatever the case may be. But it's like this is cool because like their collections, you know, it's like they're proud of them. They're showing them. Yeah. And like they're in the place where they can be appreciated. And I would be willing to bet that if you've got a great collection and other people like, you know, so many people are in on it, that I bet you anything you could just meet people who are like-minded and excited about your thing and will come over and like appreciate your collection.
For sure.
And so it's like, man, how fun is that? I love collecting stuff.
I know. Yeah, collecting's fun.
It is.
Collecting's fun.
It's so cool.
Speaking of which, Ben.
Okay.
We were also at another big collecting sort of event.
We were at a big collecting event.
Yeah,
you were at a big collecting event.
I was. Yeah.
I helped it happen.
You helped it happen. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So after the Disney trip, which I feel like I have so much more to say about, we didn't even get to today.
I know.
But we should talk about the trading card game, the Pokemon regional trading card game tournament in Orlando.
We got to.
This past weekend because it was my first ever regional tournament that I'd ever been to.
Yeah.
Which was very exciting. It was also the largest one to ever have been held.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of number of players.
Which was pretty remarkable because, I think it was, I want to say, going back to, an episode, maybe, turn of the year, New Year's resolution-y type thing, 2022. I feel like we were talking here on the pop, and you, properly almost, announced, your candidacy, if you will, for, becoming, a competitive Pokemon card player. It's I want to find a way to, actually start doing this. And, then it felt a little oddly, and I don't even know why. I almost feel like this is mental restrictions I've put on my brain from having been a child.
Yeah.
And still liked the same thing.
Yeah.
It's we travel to do activities all the time. It's exactly what we just spent the last hour talking about.
Yeah.
But for some reason, traveling to go and enter this Pokemon tournament felt like
against the rules or something.
Yeah, that's not allowed. You can't just go do it.
Yeah.
And it's and we did.
We did.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Finally able to go and compete and do the things, which, dude, I mean, I have loved sports my whole life. I've been on the edge of my seats for games. I have been in person at events, screaming my head off and stuff. I was glued to my phone that day.
I could tell.
It was just it's I was an hour has gone since they have sent me an update. It's I need you to know. How did you do?
It was really fun because it was after each match or something, I felt like I needed to text I got an update Ben and Beth and the family chat, and it was I felt like people were really interested and leaned in and oh man, how's everyone doing? How are Jay and Steven doing? So it was me and our buddy Steven. Went down to compete. We play a lot here in Roanoke, and it was super fun. So I got there Friday.
Yep.
I was there for the opening. I was there right when it opened, and you can immediately sign up for side events. The official standard Masters tournament didn't start until Saturday. So Friday was just sort of get to the event, get your feet wet, whatever. Go check out the booths, get the lay of the land.
Right.
But there were side events you could play in. So I signed up for one of those, so I had something to do that day.
Right.
The side event I signed up for was called Gym Leader Challenge, which is this brand new format in Pokemon. It is such an awesome format because it was invented by one of the players, like one of the big content creators of the Pokemon trading card game. It wasn't made by Pokemon. Him and I don't know. I want to say it's mostly his brainchild. His name's Andrew Mahone. His YouTube channel is called Tricky Gym, but it's called Gym Leader Challenge. And unlike the regular game, you can only use a single copy of every single card in your deck, except for basic energy, and you can't use rule box Pokemon. So on Box Breakers, we have there's the Pokemon V or GX or something like that.
Yep.
So you can only use the really basic kind of Pokemon. Which don't have any extra flair to them. So it opens up a huge new levels of creativity for the game. The only other caveat is that it all has to be the same type, like a gym leader in the game. So that's part of the Gym Leader Challenge. That's what it's called. It's very similar to the Commander format in Magic, if you're familiar with that at all, which is has become the most popular form of Magic. It has outpaced standard Magic, which is hilarious to me.
That is amazing.
It makes me wonder if GLC could do the same, but anyway, I brought my GLC deck. I play grass, and I enter the tournament, and go through the first round, and I win the first round. I'm all right, awesome, cool. I get to the second round, win that, and all of a sudden I'm up at table 1, and I'm oh man, this is crazy. Going to the third round, I win that one. I was oh my gosh, what is happening?
Right.
And now I've won round 3 at table 1. I'm am I going to be at table 1 again, for the championship round? And somehow I got paired down to table 3, which was annoying.
Oh.
But whatever, not important. What was crazy though is that also playing in the tournament, Andrew Mahone, creator of the format, And he's like sitting one table, like right next to me, you know. And I'm like, because there was 3 of us at that point. There was 4 people at that point who were 3-0 in the tournament. And like the 3 of us who weren't Andrew were all hoping to get paired against him.
Right.
Knowing like, oh, this would be so cool. And so like me and my opponent were just like, it could have been us. But then we played it out and I won. So I went 4-0 in the tournament and ended up winning.
Which was like,
I was like, what just happened?
Goodness gracious. The whole time, like as you're sending me updates on this Friday, like, you know, we're of course traveling home, which shout out to Beth, who was able to successfully get all 3 of your children home on the plane.
Yes. Big shout out to Beth. She is a champion.
It was absolutely amazing. Yeah. But I was so, I felt like I was so stoked because I'm getting like these updates from you and I was like, see, he doesn't even know. He doesn't even like, it's like, I know how good he is. He doesn't even know how good he is. Like, you know, it's like one of these things where I was like, this is just amazing. Cause like, you know, we kept talking about it and it's hard to know like what the level of play is going to be like once you find yourself like, you know, in this environment where it's like you're clearly taking it to like people who have now made accommodations. They've traveled, they've booked hotel rooms. Like this is not like a like Saturday. I mean, I'm sure for plenty of people it is just, you know, living in the Orlando area. They could probably just go and attend. But like for many people who are going to be there, this is like they have done things to now be there.
Like they worked on being there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this is so cool to like see that like, you know, like things are going well. And of course this was day 1. This isn't like, you know, like the full tournament or anything. Yeah. But I was like, that's a good omen.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really exciting. I had no expectations for it. In fact, like because Beth was taking the kids home earlier in the day, like I like checkout at Disney wasn't until like 11 or something.
Right.
And like they had to leave around like 9. From the hotel at like 8:30 or 9 or something, you know, to like just get to the airport. So I was like, man, this is great. I'm just going to be able to like very slowly lounge around, get ready, pack up. Like, you know, I could go to the pool if I want, like, you know, whatever.
The sauna.
Yeah, maybe I'll go to the sauna again. And like, everyone leaves and like Steven texts me, he's like, you doing GLC today? It's at 12:30. And I was like, I did not know that. And suddenly I'm in this like, I gotta go. I don't know how far away the hotel is. I don't know how far away the hotel is from the convention center. Like this, you know, all of a sudden I'm in like turbo mode and I like rush over there and then, you know, finally get settled, get in, and like to my utter shock, like win this like first tournament. I was like, I can't believe that just happened. So that was really exciting for me. Go grass deck. Woo! It was great. And actually, what's really cool about that is that like that meant like at that point, the only other time I played my grass deck was at a tournament here at Star City Games, which I also won. So like at that point, my grass deck was completely undefeated.
Outstanding.
like all time. I was like, I love this deck. This is amazing. Couldn't play that the next day. This is like standard tournament for the real big deal. So we go, day 1 starts, and I think the first round ended in a draw for me. And then the second round I got a win, and I'm like, okay, all right, good. 1-0-1, pretty good. Next round, draw. 4th round, win. So I'm like 2-0-2. I'm like, okay, this is great. Then it was a lunch break. Then the next round I went on to get a win. So now I'm like ahead. It was like 3-0-2.
Right.
I'm like, oh man, now I haven't I'm like 5 rounds into a 9-round day, and like I haven't like lost a game, like a match. Like I've got draws, which means like I've lost like games inside of a match, which is best of 2 of 3.
Right.
But like I haven't like outright lost a match yet. And so I'm like, I get paired for round 6 though, and the name look who my opponent is, and it's a guy named Justin Bukhari, and I'm like, I feel like this like echo in my brain. I'm like, I know I've heard this name before, and like I'm like that, and like the fact that I've heard the name and I'm familiar with it before is like bad news, because it's like the reason you know people's names in the Pokemon trading card is because they are good. Yeah. And I was like, I read the name out to Steven. He goes like, that's like a real player. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of him. And like, I'm like sitting at my table and he comes up. I mean, he's like holding a gallon jug of water with him.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, I mean, I think he's probably like 6'4" or something.
Okay.
Jacked. Like, not just like incredibly good at Pokemon cards, like also just like big guy.
Like physically
fit guy. I'm like, man, like I don't think I even realized exactly at the time the caliber I was against either. He went on to finish the tournament 19th overall out of like almost 1,500 players.
Very impressive.
Which is insane. He was obviously off to a slow start because he had the exact same start as me, which is why we got paired against each other.
Okay, gotcha.
But anyway, so we go through the first round where it's a best of 3. We're in the first game, and I go through this whole sequence, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I've got it. And I like go through my whole sequence of play, and I go to like make my final attack, and like he points out something that's actually like 20 short of knocking me out. And I was like, what? No, it's not. And he's like, you have 2 of these energy attached that like knocks your damage down by 40. And I was like, oh my God, it does. And I was so frustrated. like I just, whatever energy I'd attached earlier in the game, like I completely forgot about it, or I thought it was a different kind of energy. And like, I just wouldn't have done another attachment in that way. Like I just made a straight up mistake that cost me that first round. I was like, oh my gosh, because then he ended up winning that game. But then game 2, I got the win. Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So now we're in round 3. And this is where the experience of my opponent really came into play, because like all of a sudden, like he's very aware of the clock, and he's not playing for a draw at all.
Right.
And he is like playing at top speed, and it's like all of a sudden it's like the pressure feels like it is on, and he did manage to take me down in the 3rd round. So that was my first loss of the day, which was to Justin Bakari, who I looked up today before we came on. So he finished 19th in the tournament. He's also a 4-time regional championship winner.
Oh,
I was
my
like,
gosh.
Not only that, he's part of a testing group. His testing group, they had 3 people in the top 8 of this tournament.
Jeez.
Then one of them came in 2nd overall, and he was playing the exact same 60 cards as those people. So I was like, man, that like, I don't think I had much of a chance.
That was just like,
well, I say that obviously I did beat him once.
You did okay.
Yeah, I did
absolutely.
okay.
That's just like it's such a player draw. Like even the fact that like he must have had a little bit of like a slow start to the morning, like with a couple of draws himself. It's kind of like, you know, he basically was getting his head of steam against you.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like I think if I'd beaten him, he would have dropped.
Yeah,
and I didn't. And then he went on. I said, he made day 2 and finished very well overall. So good for him. Bravo. If I was going to lose, I'm not even that upset that I lost, because it was such a learning experience. Like he was so focused while we were playing. It was, yeah, it was very I wanted to win, but it didn't. So from there, my overall record ended up being 4-1-4. So I had like 4 draws on the day, which is probably the number one thing I need to work on, is like rate of play, just to try and finish the games faster.
Yes.
So because at least one other game was in like round 3, and it was like, the way it goes, if time ends, it's like each of you has 2 turns left to finish the game.
Okay. And
it's like, so like I go, he goes, or the way it worked out, at least in one game, was like, he ends his turn, like, and that's the end of the game. But it's like, if I'd been able to start my turn, all I had to do was say attack and I win. But like, it's like, so like stuff like that's frustrating, where it's like, if I'd played a little faster. But anyway, I was pretty happy with my finish there. 4-1-4 is like at least finished positive there. Should have played a little faster. Overall, my deck choice, if you're curious, I played Lugia, Flying Pikachu. I posted a picture of it on Twitter if you want to see the exact 60 cards I played. I wouldn't say it was the best meta call, but it did pretty well overall. I think we looked at the standings. Like I think I got like 265 out of like 1470 or something.
That's pretty amazing.
So pretty good. Yeah. Not quite top 256, which is like one of the cutoff points.
Okay.
But like very close. I was like, oh, right there. But I was so excited about the whole event. I'm like, very much want to go back to another one. I definitely think I can improve that record. And even just being there, it was like such a learning experience. So
yeah, that's the thing about stuff like that. It's like you can be so involved with it. And like I know like how it is for you. Like, I come into the office and like, I'll see you like sorting cards here, like just like in between, like working on videos and stuff like that, or like doing a couple of rounds of like online TCG and stuff. So it's like, I know how much like a big part of your life it is anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you like look for the times and opportunities to like get those reps in, but then there's also like, there is just so something to be said about being in the environment where you were just like surrounded by it completely.
Yeah.
Again, I could go back to like personally, like my aquarium days. I remember I would go to like the Marine Aquarium Conference of North America, MACNA, if you will, which is honestly so much fun. But like it was always amazing to me, like in the months that would follow going to one of those events, how I would be then talking to like customers at my store. And it was like, I learned so much at this event, you know, because I'd be like, oh yeah, when we're at MACNA, we're talking to these people about these new pH probes or whatever. And it was like, while I was there, it didn't even occur to me that I was just like absorbing the industry, you know, like every single like piece of it, you know, it's like in some way, shape or form, whether or not you're even intending to, is like becoming a part of like now your greater knowledge base. Yeah. And so I think like, it's like, obviously you're super into it. You find ways to participate here locally. You find ways to participate like remotely, like through the online game, but like being there in person, seeing the things, being surrounded by all that is like, there's just nothing better.
Yeah. It was really fun. So can't wait to go to another one here in the near future, hopefully.
I know there's a couple that are like nearby.
I know there's like a Nashville one, there's like a Charlotte one, so probably can't do Nashville, but maybe Charlotte. We'll see.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Anyway, I feel like we're at a good stopping point for today's episode. We went a little bit longer than usual, so hopefully you guys stuck with us and enjoyed all of our conversation about everything from saunas to pin collecting to the TCG. As it were. If you would like to support the show yourself here at Popcorn Culture, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/popcorn culture. We do have our exclusive quarterly merch tier, which in case you're unaware is basically each quarter of the year we will go through and come up with a very cool and unique piece of merchandise, which is only available through the Patreon. That is at patreon.com/popcorn culture and select the quarterly merch tier. For this quarter that we're currently inside of as I am speaking, we are doing like an exclusive like crew t-shirt, which is both a reference to what the shirt is and the actual physical configuration of the shirt. It's a crew neck t-shirt. But yeah, the back of it will basically have the word crew, and it's kind of like you're part of like it's like I like to think of it like those t-shirts is like I'm with the band.
With the band. With the crew.
I'm with the crew. I'm with the crew. I'm one of them. So anyway, again, if you'd like to check it out, it's patreon.com/popcorn culture. But otherwise, until next time,
pop.